On this episode of Geek Dad Life, we're going to review some of the new retro-style Nerf Super Soakers. Hey everybody, and welcome to Geek Dad Life. It's your host, Jay Gladfelter here, and excited that I finally saw these kind of retro-style Super Soaker water guns at my local Target. I know the news came out in February that Nerf Super Soaker, which, Hasbro, I think, completed a takeover of Laramie, who made the original Super Soakers in the early 2000s, was going to bring back some of their classic models from the first releases of the Super Soaker guns back from the early 90s. This is really kind of special to someone like me who used Super Soakers when they came out, like just had the 100, had the 50. I remember when I got the Super Soaker 200, it was just this behemoth of a water gun. And I've actually been able to slowly kind of find the originals in the wild. So I have an original, still working Super Soaker 100 gun to compare the new one to. But the problem with the plastic they used, and again, these were never intended to be, something that you keep for 30 years, which these things are pretty, a few years shy of being 30 years old. Being used in the sun, being thrown around, it's very hard to find them still working, and then really to kind of keep them still working, because you can't really, run around with these and throw them around like you used to, because the plastic gets brittle. And so that's the case for all of my vintage Super Soaker guns. I can't really, play with them anymore with my two young boys. I've broken them out a few times, but while they still work, they still have the pressure. They still shoot the crazy distances like they did in the early 90s. I really can't, play with them with my kids like I used to when I was a kid. So these things coming out solves that problem. There was no better weekend for me to find these than Memorial Day weekend. It's kind of the first hot weekend we've had in a while. So the stars aligned. Now I've got a set of the new Super Soakers that come in this awesome retro packaging that the end cap at Target had the XP100, which is like an updated Super Soaker 100, and then the XP20, which is an updated version of the original Super Soaker 20. There is an XP30, which very closely models the original Super Soaker 30. Surprisingly, they aren't doing a Super Soaker XP50, at least for this first run, because this is probably the most iconic and most well-known of those original Laramie Super Soaker squirt guns. But I'm kind of pumped they did the Super Soaker 100. I think this was like kind of the premium, the creme de la creme of Super Soakers until the 200 came out. I have so many memories with my Super Soaker 100 that, broke a long time ago. So I was pumped when I found this original one, but so excited for this new one. As you can see, it is not exactly the same. There are some updates. You have a round yellow bottle system compared to the flat green of the new one. The new bottle also locks in instead of screwing in like the original, making for quicker bottle exchanges. The new build is chunkier and shorter than the original, leading to shorter shooting distances around 35 feet compared to 50 feet of the original. And also you have a smaller capacity tank at 1.25 liters versus the original being at 1.5 liters. I never had the Super Soaker 20, but looking at the original pictures to the new one, looks very similar. So we'll see how this thing plays in the wild. All right, so without any further ado, let's try these things out. Let's test them out with the Gladfelter family. stuff. So needless to say, we had a lot of fun with the Super Soaker XP100. Comparing that performance with my memories of the Super Soaker 100, it was nearly identical. That kind of really strong stream of water, the pump action, the way to just kind of shoot people from a long distance, it had all of that. It also leaked water. It had some of the same frustrations as the original Super Soaker as well, but that to me is all part of the experience. It's a really, really strong water gun, much like the original Super Soaker 100 was. Something to be aware of, the feed hose is a lot longer on this one than the original one. So when you are low on water, you have to have the gun facing downwards, tipped down, while you pump up the last bit of water. The same praise cannot be given to the XP20. This thing was essentially useless as a water gun. You could maybe fill it up and then pump it up and maybe get one or two good shots with it before you had to fill it back up again. And it's also $7.99, so really for less than double that cost, you get a much better water gun. So buy an extra XP100 and just skip the XP20. I'm probably going to be returning this one because it was honestly useless. While the XP20 is definitely not worth it, the XP100 absolutely is. At $14.99, it's a great water gun, definitely feels and captures the nostalgia for the original. And because of that, it'll get the Geek Dad Life buy rating. Definitely check out some of the other videos on my channel, like this most recent video that I posted, as well as this one that YouTube wants you to check out. And if you haven't done it already, hit like, hit subscribe, and click on that bell icon to be notified when the latest episode of Geek Dad Life drops. Until next time, hasta luego, and goodbye.